When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
The goal isn't starting the podcast. The goal isn't becoming an entrepreneur. The goal is impacting as many people as you possibly can. You know, the seduction of success, being blissfully dissatisfied. Like, I think it's Ed Milet that says that. I don't celebrate a win ever. Like, I don't fucking care about it. If I close a deal, if I get a big sponsorship or whatever it is, I'm happy for the moment. And then I completely forget about it.
I think it's important to celebrate the wins so you remember what it feels like. If you have a goal, you peak at your endorphins firing fully there at 80% of the goal. And then it starts to come down. And that's why so many people will hit something and then they'll be done. Ed talks a lot about standards over goals. So if I hit 30% of my goals, my standard is to get in that 46-degree water for five minutes every morning. And that just becomes your natural habit and the things you continue to do in your growth, right? So if you looked at your day, Shawn, I'm sure you have this whole list of standards that you do, regardless if you realize it or not, which makes you great in your field, right? Like when you played college baseball, you had standards, things that you did every day. They weren't goals. I had to do this every single day to get to where I want to go. And I think that's where a lot of people miss it.
I think I need to celebrate the win more. It's super important too. Once we're celebrating wins, to also know that hey, you got to pay that fucking rent tomorrow, man. Unlock your true potential on the field and court with our peak mental performance program for athletes. Train your mind to conquer challenges, stay focused under pressure, and achieve unparalleled success. Our expert coaches will guide you through personalized techniques, enhancing concentration, resilience, and confidence. Picture yourself outperforming your rivals, making split-second decisions with clarity, and achieving victory like never before. Join us today and elevate your game to new heights. Peak Mental Performance Program, where champions are forged in the mind. Email me today, sean.french@thedeterminedsociety.com for more information. See you inside. And a huge thank you to our platinum sponsor, Legacy Luxury Builders. Well, I got to tell you, Southwest Florida is one of the most beautiful places on the planet to live. We have beaches, palm trees, white sand, absolutely gorgeous. For those of you that are thinking of moving from other states to come to Florida, or even just moving to a different part of the state, consider Southwest Florida. And I want you to think a little bit deeper here. I want you to think of a big, beautiful luxury home. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. They are a family-owned and operated luxury residential construction company with a rich heritage in the construction industry and a deep-rooted commitment to excellence. They have established themselves as a trusted name in crafting exceptional homes for families seeking the epitome of luxury living. As a family-owned business, they understand the significance of creating a home that goes beyond mere bricks and mortar. They believe in the power of building not just homes, but legacies, homes that serve as the backdrop for cherished memories and the foundation for future generations. With each project, they approach it as if they were building their own family's dream home, ensuring the utmost care, attention to detail, and passion in every aspect of the construction process. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders now. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Determined Society. I have with me an amazing performance coach who's known for changing lives. He's a podcast host with engaging conversation, which I might add, I've been on the show. He's a badass fucking host. He's being a little modest. The dude's a badass. He's a motivational speaker and author of an inspiring book. Prepared to be motivated as we explore his insights and success-driven approach. I want to welcome my boy, Chris Welton, to the show. What's up, homie?
Man, thanks, dude. Thank you so much for the kind words, and thanks for getting me on the show, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Hey, dude, man, I'm super excited. I've been waiting for this one all day, dude. Like I said, it's been a crazy day with the balancing act between recording my shows and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's just so great to sit here and talk to you. I know we had to reschedule, and we're finally here. So it's a long time coming, man.
Yeah, definitely a long time coming.
Well, absolutely. So listen, for the audience that doesn't know your story, what I want to do is I want you to introduce who you really are, right? What is the essence of Christopher? What has made you? Maybe some stories of adversity, and what's your makeup, man? Let all these people know what's up.
Yeah. So how much time you got? You
Oh,
know,
we got 45 minutes, dog.
yeah.
Just let
So
me get in a word in here and there.
yeah,
That's all.
let's go. Let's chop it up. You know, so the biggest thing is I was born the son of a drug addict, and my mom did drugs when she was pregnant with me and caused me to be born with a limb difference. As you can see, I'm missing my left hand and half of my left arm, and I lived that life bouncing around as a child from relative to relative while my mom was in and out of rehab, and learned the lessons at a young age that have paid off now that I'm 50 years old. Probably shouldn't have
Mm.
learned them when I was 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 years old, but I did. And I I've got a point to my life where I realized that all those things that happened to me, Shawn, were meant to happen to me so I could help other people that were having that struggle or going down similar paths. But it took 48 years to realize that. I thought I just had really bad luck. Like everything was bad, everything would fall down. I mean, the number of things that happened to me. And then when I realized, I had this epiphany that, hey, man, you're here to do more than just what you're doing currently. You're here to help other people get through these struggles. So that's when I made this shift and really have gone after writing a book and getting out there and changing my life to help change other people along the way.
I mean, it's one thing, man. We talk about bad luck, and a lot of times we can create our own bad fucking luck, just like we can create our own really good luck, right? By either not doing the work that we say we're going to do, or by doing the things that we know that we need to do that are necessary to be super successful. I mean, you have a very successful career as a chief sales officer for your mortgage company. You're a motivational speaker, author, amazing coach, and podcast host, and all the while, as you mentioned, you were born of son of a drug addict. Now, for those of you that are listening, rewind it to that part where he talked about he was born with a limb indifference. Now, if you also follow Chris, which I highly suggest that you do after this show, or stop the damn show now if you're listening to it and go follow him at One Hand at a Time on Instagram and digest who the fuck he is for a little while, because then you'll realize some of your excuses on a day-to-day basis are fucking trivial.
They
And I'm
are.
not just talking to you, I'm talking to me too, right? Because a lot of people, man, hey, I really can't go do this because I'm tired or I didn't get enough sleep. Like, dude, I see you in the fucking gym with a resistance band on the arm has the limb indifference, and you're fucking hauling, dude.
Yeah.
That's perseverance. That's resiliency. That's overcoming that adversity. Talk a little bit how you've been able to use that to your benefit to teach others.
You know, I love how you brought that up because I was on a call the other day with one of my coaches, Ben Newman, and we were talking a lot about
Mhm.
that. And I said, what I enjoy most about it is when I'm in the gym and someone walks up to me that has all their limbs and has everything, and they're like, "Hey, man, you inspired me today."
Mm.
So that makes me work harder. But when I step in the
Right.
gym, I don't think myself as someone with a limb difference. I think myself as someone who's going to go in here and bust my ass, push myself so hard that I might get sick. That happens
Hmm.
because I know when I push myself, what happens? I just grow, right? I just continue to do that. So for me, it was just natural to start posting some of those videos, start putting
Mm.
that content out there and showing people what's possible with a limb difference, but also get rid of all your excuses, man. Like the only reason you didn't go to the gym this morning is because you didn't go to the gym this morning. That's
Right.
it, right? That's it. And I'm on day 30 right now, 75 hard. I just got my Peloton session in. It's 5 Eastern time. I quit working early so I could get 45 minutes in before we got on here for my second workout of the day. And this is my third time through. And I don't share that with you because I'm bragging. I share that with you because I want you to know what's possible. Like, if you
Mm.
really wanted to get your shit done, if you really wanted to get your life together, all you got to do is take action and do it. Right. I mean, it sounds so simple because, dude, it really is. I mean,
Dude, it's like those moments, bro, like those limiting beliefs. And dude, I've done 75 hard. I am a big proponent of Andy Frisella and First Form shit. I've partnered with them
yeah.
for the show, right?
Mhm.
This show, a lot of it is powered by First Form, right? And so here's the thing, like everybody's excuses are just this thought process and this messed up wiring in their brain to where they want to talk themselves out of something because they're afraid it ain't gonna fucking work, because they're looking at something like, okay, here's where I'm at today, but I want to look at that overall result and I want to attach myself to that outcome instead of being like, fuck man, the rewards in the work. And for the people that are listening, this just isn't about the gym. I've noticed over the last 4 weeks, we've talked about the gym a lot in my shows. And it's because I'm on my own journey. I'm fucking crushing it in there. I'm hitting my macros. I'm doing my 45-minute walks. I'm doing all the work necessary. So I'm really passionate about it because it's helping me in so many different other aspects of my career and my show and my content. Right. But what are your thoughts? Like, where's the disconnect, man? Because they know they're laying down in bed. They have a choice to get up or get up off the couch or not eat the Doritos. Why are they not doing it? Like, what's the disconnect? What kind of limiting belief?
So here's what the way I talk to my coaching clients is there's a couple reasons why you're not taking action. The first one is fear. The fear that it's not going to work and people are going to make fun of you or say something about it. Right.
Mm.
Then there's the fear, Shawn, that it's going to work and you're going to have to keep doing it. Right. And then the third one is, which most people is people are just lazy. You're just lazy. I talked the other day, I was in a coaching session with a bunch of clients and I said, hey, if Netflix and chill was a 4-year degree, I would have got it in 18 months. I'm really good at Netflix and chill, dude.
I'm so good at that
I'm
shit,
one of
dude.
the best out there.
Yeah.
But I earn my Netflix and chill, right? I get up at 5 a.m. and I get my cold plunge in and I do my workout and I do all those things. And that gives me the opportunity to do what I want later in the day. What people don't understand is that self-confidence is built off keeping small promises to yourself, right? So if I go 5 or 6 and 0 in the morning with my reading and everything else that I do, my confidence is so high. What do? I'm sitting on my couch on a Sunday morning and I DM Shawn French, a guy who we kind of knew each other. I said, hey man, let's just do a podcast swap. That's exactly how that happened, right?
Yeah.
Like I sent the shoe off to Damon West, and the Damon West was on my podcast, and that's part of the book. And I hope we can talk about that a little bit later. But
I would love to.
By the gym is the easiest thing to do to increase your self-confidence. Working out is the easiest thing to do to help your self-confidence. It's all about winning.
It's funny because like we talk about working out and it's not that we're these meatheads in the gym and that's all we do. We just know, we have it figured out that if we do that one thing, then I'm going to make the extra phone call to a mortgage prospect in your case. Yep. I'm going to call on one more physician in my case. I'm going to reach out to another, potential podcast guest that is a big guest that scares me to do it. But I've built in these little evidence wins throughout the day. I call them stacking dubs. Like I'm stacking dubs all day fucking long, right? If I can stack as many up throughout the day that I know I've built up my armor of confidence that day. But guess what? Tomorrow morning, it don't matter. Those have to be built up again, man. Mm-hmm. And I think where people get really, Ben Newman likes to call it,
seduced by
success. So like you have that successful day and you think tomorrow is just going to be okay. Tomorrow has nothing to do with today.
Yeah.
So how have you in your journey, start to put that together, right? Because I think it's important for people that are listening right now to be like, hey, I did good yesterday. I didn't eat that pizza that my family was eating, but dude, it doesn't fucking matter now because it's Wednesday. I don't know what day it is, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's talk about the seduction of success. I'm getting ready to speak to a high school football team next week and talk about this, a very prominent team that competes for a state title every year. And I'll give you some examples of me seduction of success that has affected me in life, which I didn't really know what it was until recently. Being a kid with a limb difference, if I made the sports team, I was happy. And I was good enough to play, but I would just make the team and I would be good. I was a great baseball player. Make the team, I was happy, right? Didn't work any harder once I got there. I was seduced by the success of just having the jersey and the hat. Playing varsity football, made the team, got my Letterman's jacket. I'm good with just being on kickoff and kickoff return. I'm not going to really work that hard anymore because I made the team. In life, I made $1 million when I was 27 years old. First time I made $1 million, I was 27 years old. But by the time I was 31, I lost it all. Why? Because I stopped doing the work that I did at 27 to make the money.
Yeah.
I was seduced by success. I stopped doing everything. Now where I'm at in my life, I'm like, dude, every time I win, what do? I just double down and push a little harder. So I hope that people are listening and they can say, shit, I just had a big day yesterday. I had 5 phone calls, 5 people said yes. Tomorrow I got to get 6 people to say yes, or whatever that is, because it's all about keeping that momentum on your side. One of my coaching clients were talking today, and he's got a decent sized real estate team. And we have some new realtors on the team, young rookies in the business, and they've been banging the phones. And while he was on vacation last week, they put 5 properties under contract, 3 rookies, right? So I said, okay, let's look at their lead gen. What have they done since then? Oh, well, they didn't show up for lead gen. They didn't do this. They're not doing their calls. I'm like, okay, we got to stop right now because they're seduced by that success, right? The 90-day wonder. I'm going to go out here and kill it. And then I'm going to lose the job. And I'm going to say, well, you want fries with that? No offense if you guys want fries with that, but yeah, if you want fries with that. So
no offense. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's my whole thing with the seduction of success for sure.
You know, I want to dive into something, and I hope I'm not overstepping, but I want to go into the psychology of you back in the day when you were a great baseball player, a great football player, but you were seduced by that success. Does it go any deeper than that? Right. Because like I'm curious, right? I'm coming from a place of curiosity of like, okay, here's this gentleman with a limb indifference. Now I know now you don't look at yourself that way, but what I'm wondering is back in high school, right? When you make these teams and you're like, fuck, I made it. Well, I ain't going to trip off playing because I'm not supposed to fucking be here anyway.
Yeah, that's really what happened. I mean, you just, you find yourself in that spot. And you know, it's so weird is like, when I think about it, I was a really good basketball player too. And I would go to the courts and I would go to the roughest parts of Orlando and we would go play. I'm 6'5". Okay. So when I was,
no shit.
Yeah. When I was 16, I was 6'5". I could dunk a basketball, no problem. Right. And we would go to the parks and I would go off and have big games. And every time I'd hit a shot, I would just get more and more confident. But for some reason, I didn't let that bleed over to on the football field. I would get out there and I would mow people over in practice and do all those things, but then I would kind of sit back and relax. I look at that now and I don't let that happen to me now. Like if the door opens and I go green, you better look out. We're going to go after everything we can, right? We're going to get everything we can. And it's probably more the fact that I just was so happy making the team that was it. And I think a lot of people fall to that. They're just happy to make the team. Like I never imagined myself being a superstar, right? Like I never visioned that. And I had all the ability and talent to do those things, but I never visioned that happening.
You know, I think it's something that people get caught up in. And if you don't have that end vision on the movie screen of your mind to a point where you are closing your eyes at night and you're visualizing what it looks like to lay that quarterback out when you're in high school, like, then you're not going to have that drive and determination in order to go through all the process that you need to in order to be a really good fucking defensive end. That's just the way it is. I don't give a shit if it's defensive end or if you're a shortstop, you know, playing baseball. Like you have to, the goal isn't making the team, right? The goal isn't starting the podcast. The goal isn't like becoming an entrepreneur, right? The goal is impacting as many people as you possibly can in making the mark, right? And making your mark to point where, hey, that's your best, right? There is something though that, that I always look at, the seduction of success or being blissfully dissatisfied. Like I think it's Ed Milet that says that. I always think to myself, like, I don't know. I have this weird, and I think we've talked about this. I don't celebrate a win ever. Like I don't fucking care about it. Like if I close a deal, if I get a big sponsorship or whatever it is, I'm happy for the moment. And then I completely forget about it. Sometimes I feel that celebrating a win a little bit longer is definitely necessary for me, right? Because the next day I can wake up and I'm in that low energy, shrunk up version of Shawn French. I'm like,
Mhm.
fuck, here we go. I got to do this shit again, man. You know? So for me, I think I need to celebrate the win more, but I think it's super important too. Once we're celebrating, let's also know that like, hey, you got to pay that fucking rent tomorrow, man. Like that success doesn't count.
Yeah, I think it's important to celebrate the wins so you remember what it feels like, right? Like, you
Mhm.
know, in they talk a lot about how your emotions, how you like your peak state 80% of when you're done with a goal. Like if you have a
Mhm.
goal, you peak at your endorphins, or they're all firing at 80, you're fully there at 80% of the goal. And then it starts to come down, right? And that's why so many
Interesting.
people will hit something and then they'll be done. That's why we talk so much about, Ed talks a lot about standards over goals. Goal is something that you give yourself permission not to hit. Let's be honest, right? So if I hit 30% of my goals, oh my gosh, look at you, you're great, right? But if my standard was X, my standard is to
Mhm.
get in that 46-degree water for five minutes every morning. My standard
Mhm.
is not to eat the fries at the drive-through or whatever that is. Then that just becomes your natural habit and the things you continue to do in your growth, right? So if you looked at your day, Shawn, I'm sure you have this whole list of standards that you do, regardless if you realize it or not, which makes you great in your field, right? Like
Mhm.
that's how it works. When you played college baseball, you had standards, things that you did every day. They weren't goals. I had to do this every single day to get to where I want to go. And I think that's where a lot of
You know,
people
that's
miss
why
it.
I always got really agitated with goal setting when I was playing baseball. Like, the smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, like whatever, right? And like to me, it bothered me because I'm like, well, no, like if I do X, I'm going to get Y
Mhm.
automatically because I have the ability. I was good. So for me, it was just to your point, and I didn't know what it was back then. It was just something that I did. It was my standard.
Mhm.
My standard. My son asked me the other day, Daddy, how did you get to play baseball at LSU? I said, God did bless me with amazing talent. He gave me a phenomenal arm. He gave me great hands. He didn't give me very fast legs. I was like, but he gave me a lot. He gave me the ability to be an amazing catcher. I go, so I did my work with that. Like I did my individual defensive skills, but you know what I did mostly? My son's Bobby. I said, Bobby, you know what I did mostly? I was like, if nobody could find me in the house, it's because they could find me in the garage. I was hitting off the tee every single night till my hands bled. Come hell or high water, it did not fucking matter how much pain I was in. I would go to practice. I'd hit at early practice. Then I'd go through practice. Then I'd stay later until it was dark. And then I would hit in the cage. And if nobody wanted to hit with me, which most of my teammates just wanted to go fucking drink and smoke pot out of high
Mhm.
school, so they were fucking gone. I was sitting there hitting off a tee until the sun went down. It was dark, and I'd put the shit back in the shed, get in my car, go home, eat dinner, lie about not having homework, and then go in the garage and hit again. It
Yep.
was a standard.
Yep.
You know, I was willing to do whatever I needed to do in order to get to where I wanted.
So what a blessing that is in a roadmap that your kids have, right? They have a roadmap to success, a proven roadmap, not just a dad who's sitting in the stands yelling at people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're I coached athletics a ton when I was younger, and you'd have those dads in the stand that are yelling and trying to tell people what to do, and they've never put a glove on in their life or whatever. Obviously you're able to bring that to the table with them, which is that's priceless.
It's valuable, man. And yeah, dude, there's some serious, armchair quarterbacks in the stands, especially in Little League nowadays, dude. Have you been to a Little League field lately?
Well, out my back door of my neighborhood, out my back gate is Lake Mary Little League that just went to the regional.
Oh, okay.
Literally, it's like
Okay.
I ride my bike through the field. It's like right there. So, yeah, I mean, it's you know, this is when I coached youth sports. This is what I would do. Okay, first practice, kids are on the field stretching and warming up. I took applications for coaching and I handed it to everybody in the stands. And I said, here's the deal. I'm the coach this year. If you want to coach next year, there's an application. You can go ahead and fill it out and submit it, and you can coach next year. Till then, I need you to stay up here. Let me run the
Uh-huh.
team.
Uh-huh. It's
And that's just
funny.
what we did.
Uh, I love the topic of youth sports. I think it's completely broken. I think kids are specializing way too soon. And I'm also the pot calling the kettle black because I specialized really early. But to me, I wasn't really good at anything else other than baseball. So if it was an easy thing for me. But, I think the biggest problem with youth sports now is that the parents are so disillusioned on what the games actually mean at that
Mhm.
level. Like here's my point. My son's 9 and I have a membership for him down at DBAT and we go here and there. And a lot of my friends ask me like, "Hey, why aren't you drilling this kid yet? Like why aren't you doing all these drills? Why isn't he playing year round?" I go, "Cuz he's fucking 9, dumbass.
Yeah.
He's 9." And well, what about this fall? I'm like, "Nah, man, he wants to go play soccer. I'm gonna let him go play soccer this fall, man." Like that's the only way he can become an athlete is to have multi-sport exposure. And not only that, like I want him to be hungry when it's baseball season. And there's
Yeah.
always going to be a time, Chris. There's a time when a kid hits maybe 12, 13 years old. Now it's go time. Like
Mhm.
you want to be a badass dude on the baseball field on the diamond, then all right, motherfucker. We gonna work. We're gonna
Look,
work.
the best example of that is if you haven't watched it yet on Apple Plus, there's a movie about Steph Curry and how underrated he was. And that when he was a sophomore in high school, nobody even knew who Steph Curry was. He literally was still shooting from his hip. His dad's Del Curry, like 15-year NBA star. But
Yeah.
Steph never was interested in going to the next level. He just wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
So between his sophomore and junior year, he came to his dad and said, "Hey, I want to play college basketball." And his dad said, "Okay, let's go to work." And his dad spent hours and hours and hours perfecting a shot and working on it. And then Steph just put all in, and look what happened. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Look now.
best shooter in the history of the NBA, right? I mean, like, there's
Yeah.
no question, right?
Yeah.
So I loved that. I had no idea. I expected you were going to see 3-year-old Steph doing dribble drills because dad was an NBA star. But nope, dad sit back and was present with him and let him play sports and do his thing. And then but he only got, again, Steph got one Division I offer, Davidson
Yep.
College. That's it. And we see how that turned out.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. It's like being present with your kid and allowing them to be them until they come to you to tell you what they really want to do. There's so much power in that. There's too many parents and in little league and whether it's AAU in basketball or travel ball for baseball, they are bestowing what they wanted as a kid onto their kids and they are just shoving it down their throats. When quite honestly, these kids at such an early age, they just want to play a game. They want to be out there with their boys. They want to get a fucking burger or an ice
Mhm.
cream cone after the game. That's really all they're there for. And to me, that is the most pure. I remember I had a buddy back in the day. His name was Jeff Skinner. And we would meet up at the Little League field. We played on the Cardinals and we would meet there. Like no joke, dude. We would if our game was at 3, we'd be there for the 10 o'clock game.
Oh, yeah.
And we would play pickle. We would run to the snack shack, make the fucking payphone ring on it by itself and run
Mhm.
away and then go get this thing called Grand Slam burgers. I mean, that was my childhood.
Mhm. I did the same. I would ride my bike like almost 5 miles to the baseball field when I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'd look at the schedule and see whose games were first, whenever my game was. That's great. I would put my bat bag on and get on my bike, and I'd ride my bicycle down there, and I'd get there early in the morning for the first games, and I would hang out, and I would go to the concession stand and do whatever and pitch. And by the time the game came, I'd been there like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, man.
But
Like worn
Saturday
out.
Saturdays at Northwest Little League in Orlando, I love that. Like that
Yeah,
was
man.
so much to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, like to me, those were the formative years. Just being out there watching baseball, watching my friends, and it was just a fraternity, And I just think that these players nowadays they face so many more challenges, whether they're in little league or whether they're in high school or college. We won't really get into that conversation because I really want to dive into the bulk of your book, and I want you to
Yeah.
talk about that. But I do want to touch on the pressures of athletes really quickly. I don't it always baffles me that parents and coaches can be tone deaf to the fact that these kids playing these sports have more pressure today than they ever did. It's
Yeah.
everywhere, bro. It's on social media. You know, the pressure to be a peak performer now is astronomically higher than it was when we were children. You know, I- if there's one parent listening to this right now, and you can say one thing to that parent that would resonate to them about their kids' true athlete development and how they should handle it, what would you say to them?
God, I was just thinking this through. Like when I was a kid, when you're a freshman in college, you couldn't drive to school. Like you couldn't have a car as a freshman year, right? So I think you shouldn't be able to have any social media accounts when you're a freshman in college. Like I just think that would be like if I'm a freshman athlete, let me stay off social media for a year and do my thing, right? Now I know there's millions of dollars involved in NILs and all this just crazy, just
Another bag of shit to open. Yeah.
unbelievable shit. But I would say make sure your kid really enjoys what they're doing. Like, too many times we force them in a direction where they really don't want to go,
Mm-hmm.
or you think you know what's best for them. It really comes down to does my kid really want to do that? And I don't think what a lot of people don't realize is, and you know this, that if you're a big time college athlete, it's like having a full time job and going to school.
Yeah, it
Like
sure is,
it's not
man.
it's not just practice after school. Like it's super demanding. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. But all in all, it's like make sure your kid enjoys what they're doing and has a good time. And you know what? I talked about this on a podcast recently. I said too often our standards are too high for our kids, and I'm not meaning in a bad way. I'm talking about I mean in a bad way, not the good way. Like my standards, I want him to be excellent at all these different things. And if he's not, you're in trouble. Okay, well, if he goes 0 for
Yeah.
4, he goes 0 for 4. I still love you. I
Yeah.
still love you. And that talking to a kid that way will make them that much better as they get older than nope, you're not doing anything. Back to the cage, 0 for 4.
Dude, I lived that life, man. My father was that way. You know, I would come to the truck and again, my dad for the most part really supported me in baseball, made sure I had everything I needed, went to all my games. He was there for me. Okay. But I remember going to the truck and I was like 2 for 4, double and a bomb, and I would maybe popped up to the infield, that one time, and then struck out the other time and looked fucking silly. Typically after the home run, right? That's typically when you feel you have the biggest balls, and you get humbled really
You're
quickly
swinging
after
forward
a home
again.
run. Yeah, you look like a dick.
Yeah.
And I'd get in the truck like all happy, like peacock, and he's like, "The fuck was that third at bat about? You struck out. Like what the fuck?"
Mm-mm.
And so the way I read it, what he wanted me, what he was really trying to tell me, I think, was don't be complacent, right? But the way I heard it, and because he wasn't very articulate, was like, you got to be perfect, Shawn, or don't get in this fucking vehicle. And that stuck with me, and that hurt. But the one thing that I mean, I can 100% agree with everything you're saying, dude. Like the social media aspect, stay the fuck off of it. Like it's going to be really hard for a child or a young athlete to be off the social media when they're a freshman in college. But
Yeah.
to your point of, you know, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. Like back in the day, you never got paid for it. And some of the players, right, today, even in baseball, they're not getting paid because they're not the big names, right? But let's give context to the audience here on a full day. So as a Division I baseball athlete, we were up by 5 a.m. in the gym by 5:45 to stretch and warm up, 6 a.m. lift, 6 to 7 a.m. lifting, 7 to 7:30 running stadiums in Tiger Stadium, okay, puking everywhere, legs shaking. All right, boys, 7:35 class starts at 8:10. Go home, take a shower, eat, and don't be late to class. Then you go to class, and you go to 3 or 4 classes, and then you had to go to early hitting, and then you had baseball practice, and then you had, study hall until 9 p.m. So your day starts at 6 a.m. and you don't get done till 9. Right. And during season, you're traveling, you're not even on campus.
No.
It's a lot, right? So these athletes having perspective, and understanding how to develop properly is going to serve them when they get to the higher levels. So let's switch gears. Let's
go.
Let's talk to the audience about your book, buddy.
All right. So I call myself the self-proclaimed king of R&D, which is rip off and duplicate. So if I see somebody doing something that's effective and it's working, then I'm going to go do it. If it's copywritten, have your attorney send me a cease and desist, and then I might respond. We'll see what happens. So I'm watching social media like I do, and Bradley comes up. He's talking about, hey, connect with people by sending this one shoe and a handwritten note. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm a big Jordan fan. I should do that. So I start doing it. So I get one shoe, and I get Damon West shoe size through some DMs back and forth, and I send him one Jordan shoe and a handwritten note. Damon responds to me, gets on my podcast. Him and I are friends today. So I thought, man, I'm going to keep doing this. So I've done it 11 times now. There's still 4 shoes sitting in the top of the closet over there waiting to be sent off to the other people. 2 of those 4 are scheduled calls. And the other 2, I'm still waiting to get those calls booked. But so I'm like, I'm going to write a book. And I've done that. I'm 7 chapters in now. I'm just waiting for the final few chapters to be finished. And it's called It Started with One Jordan. And it's literally the story of how I took one Jordan and a handwritten note and connected to these individuals. And I've built some really incredible relationships with these people so far. And Ben Newman and I have become really close from sending him one shoe. Damon West and I are very close. And it's opened doors for me to relationships that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get into. And it's putting me in rooms and giving me opportunities that I may have not been able to get to. So most of the people have been very receptive to the shoe. I did have one gentleman send me the shoe back, and he told me that he didn't need any shoes. So at first I was highly offended. I'm like, how dare you not want to talk to Chris Welton about one Jordan? Like, I was so offended about that.
Yeah.
And I was going to write this scathing chapter about him. And I'm like, so I listened to the recording when we talked on the phone, because he did let me have 15 minutes on the phone with him, which is great. And this guy's a $100 million guy. Like, I mean, he's super high end. And I listened to the recording right before I was getting ready to write the chapter. And I said, he did everything that he says he does. He wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time, literally, where he doesn't let anybody take his time from him. And so he lived up to his brand to me. How can I be mad about that?
Yeah.
So I have mad respect for Dan Martell for doing that. And he sent me the shoe back. I've got it, I think it's just hysterical, but that's okay. He's like, hey, I know that's your thing. It's not my thing. I don't need your shoe. He said, but how can I serve you? Like he was that kind on the phone call. I didn't hear that the first time. All I heard was, you're not getting I'm sending you the damn shoe back. You're a moron. Like that's what I heard. But so now these people know who I am. Mm-hmm. So what do I do with it now? Like, I think so many times people will meet somebody they want to meet or connect with somebody. They'll connect with Shawn French, but what do? Hey, I had Shawn French on my podcast. And then you never hear from them again. Right?
Yeah.
But the reason I wrote the book is because that's almost every salesperson in the world. They'll call me and they'll tell me, hey, you're not going to believe this big, powerful meeting I had with this unbelievable whale agent, this real estate agent that nobody can get to. And then 3 months from now, I'll go, what happened? Oh, well, you never followed up again, did you? No, but they didn't send me any leads either. So I wrote the book to show what's possible, but I'm also already thinking about the next version of the book on what I do with these relationships and how I turn them into big opportunities. And I'm already getting opportunities, right? Like, I met Ed Milet recently, and I'm actually going to get a chance to spend some time with Ed in October with Ben and Tim Grover, like in a nice intimate environment, right? But I would have never had that opportunity if I hadn't sent the Jordan and got in the door. So if you're listening to this and you want to connect with somebody on a different level, figure out what it takes to get there, right? I mean, These are Jordan 1s. They're $120. It's not like I'm sending a couple of the guys I sent some super limited edition shoes because they're
Right.
sneakerheads. And I knew it would take more than a Jordan 1 to get in front of them. Lewis House, if you're listening and you haven't responded yet, your Jordan 5s have been there for 3 weeks. So, but it's not that expensive and it's unique, right? And people will remember you for that. So, David Meltzer, he was on my podcast a couple weeks ago. I sent David one shoe. David responded at a 15-minute call. We recorded it, made a podcast of it. I met him in Las Vegas. We just happened to be at the same event, which was really cool. And we hung out. Like, he had a bunch of people standing around. And I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, I'm Chris Welton. I'm the One Jordan guy." He stopped everybody and introduced me to everybody. And he's been just so kind to me because I sent him that one shoe. Now, he's not a Jordan fan, but I sent him the other shoe the other day, and he's actually going to give it away on his website to a kid who needs a pair of size. I mean, wears a size 9. No offense, Shawn, if you wear 9s, but that's a really small shoe for a man. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I wear a 14. So, anything.
Yeah, you're 6'5".
Yeah. I need a little more to hold me up, right? But it's just been something that I decided to run with, and man, it's been really cool to watch it develop. So I partnered up with Game Changer Publishing. They love the idea and the concept of the book. And the tentative release date is 10/23/23 because I want it to be kind of a Jordan-esque type of deal.
That's dope. That's
yeah,
cool.
And it's going to be on a billboard in Times Square in November. Like, I mean, how cool is that, dude? Like, this is something that I manifested last year. I had a 9-hour flight delay flying back from Charleston, South Carolina on a business trip. I sat in the airport with my journal. I'm like, what are you going to do in 2023 to be different, dude? Because you've got to do something different because right now you're stuck. And I literally just broke it all down, and that's what I did.
Dude, it's amazing because you're talking about journaling, and this is something that I don't do enough of. Like, I just, my mind is like just a tornado, right? And I never sit long enough to write, but I need to. And I realize that that's something that I need to improve upon. So for everybody listening, it's okay to know your shortcomings and admit them in front of the whole fucking world.
Yes.
So 2 things. One, Lewis House is not listening to my show. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe
he might.
Maybe if he finds out Chris Welton's on the show, Welton's on the show, he might.
He might. Don't worry. He hasn't responded to me either. Yeah. So, but when you're sitting there, everybody has that inflection point, right? You're sitting there in a layover and you probably had a frustrating day. You probably maybe didn't have the best, business trip, whatever the case may be. And you're sitting there, I got to do something different in 2023. For those of you listening, I want you to understand that all of us have that moment where we need to sit down and say, what more do I need to do? What can I do differently to be noticed, to set myself apart from the pack, right? To be noticed, because that is your personal brand. I don't care if you have a podcast and you're an author like Chris and I, or you're a teacher. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're a teacher, then you have an opportunity to impact hundreds of thousands of kids throughout your career. How are you different? How are you differentiating yourself from the teacher next door that's just shouting demands? Here's your syllabus, guys. This is what we're fucking doing. That doesn't work, right? How can you specialize, right? I think that's the one message right there that I want to applaud you on, is you specialize at something. You call yourself the One Jordan guy. To me, it's genius, though.
So let's go into that a little bit. I think it's really important that people understand that their story, how powerful their story is, right? So everybody has a story, and we call it their origin story, right? And Renee Rodriguez, who's my speaking coach, he's the one who helped me with all this. And your origin story is who you are. And you need to share that with people on your journey, because that's the reason why people will resonate with you. If they know the reason behind who I really am, the reason I am a school teacher, if that's what you do, or whatever that is, or I'm in the mortgage business, or I sell medical devices, what separates you is who you are, your difference, right? The difference, who you are. And so many people are like, well, what's your why, right? What's your why? And I think that's an overused statement.
Sure it is.
And when I'm asking people, like when I meet with somebody and I have a conversation and I want to go deeper with them and I want to help them get past, I think why is a question that like a 2-year-old asks, like, why, or where your wife's like, why didn't you pick up your socks? Like, Both times it's not good, right?
Yeah.
So I like to use a different phrasing there. I like to use how, like, how did we get here, or how can we overcome this?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do different, right? What could be different about the situation, or what could we change? And then who do I need to become to get to that next level in my life, right? So anything I look at, it's how, what, and who, not why do I want to be there, but how, what, and who. And when you ask people those, like when I sit down with a potential realtor to try to partner with them, I ask them, how did you get in your current relationship with a lender? What did they do different? Who do I need to become to be that lender? Right? Nobody else is asking those questions. Like when I have a potential coaching client, I ask them the same thing. I don't ask them why they want to be coached. I ask them why they have this coach now. How did you get in that relationship? Right? What stood out? What was different? Right? And then who do I need to be? And I think people need to understand the questioning and the format of that to get where they want to go with it. And I loved your talk about journaling because, I use journaling as therapy most of the time. Like if I'm having a really shitty day, like I will brain dump on there, and like I hope no one ever finds it because there's some really weird shit comes out of my head sometimes.
There's some dark shit in that book.
There is, but it gets out of my head and on the page and it leaves me. Right. And so that's how I use journaling most of the time. But when you have a 9-hour flight delay because there's a hurricane in the state of Florida and you're stuck in Charleston, South Carolina, you know.
Fuck, were you traveling during Ian?
Was that? I don't think that was Ian. This was no, it wasn't Ian. I was home for Ian because we lost power for 9 days. So that was in October, I believe. This September. Was the one that hit like the first week of November. It wasn't very big, but it was enough to close the airport down and stuff.
It was the one that hit Daytona pretty hard.
Yeah, hit Daytona. Yeah. And I'm in Orlando, so we got a lot of that. But I was in Charleston, so
word.
I did catch an Uber to downtown Charleston and go to Virginia's on King Street, which is the best fried chicken in America. And I went and had some fried chicken, and I went back to the airport. So, but the cool thing was Damon West's flight was delayed too, so we hung out for a while at the airport. So.
Nice. Very cool, man. That's cool, dude. Well, look, man, we got to land the plane. I just appreciate you, and I appreciate having this conversation with you for my audience, and it'll be in the show notes, but talk to them a little bit how they can find you, connect with you, engage with you, and possibly look to hire you for speaking engagement for their business or anything like that.
The best way is on my Instagram, one hand at a time. It's me that responds. I don't have my VA working on my Instagram. So if you DM me, I will respond to you. Unless you got I get some crazy DMs. I don't respond to those.
Yeah, dude.
But as a whole, if you DM me, I will respond. Follow me. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about opportunities to get on stage and share.
Well, hell yeah, man. Chris, dude, thank you again. I appreciate you. And guys, listen, I want you to really, the action item for everybody listening is to really sit and think about the one thing that they can do different. What is the one thing that you can do different today and be consistent with? Don't do pie in the sky. Pick something that you can do every single day as your standard and not worry about what are you going to get from it, right? This is about upholding who you are as an individual, as a man, woman, husband, father, whatever it is. Do that for 6 to 12 months, and I guarantee you your life will look completely fucking different. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll chat soon. Unlock your true potential on the field and court with our peak mental performance program for athletes. Train your mind to conquer challenges, stay focused under pressure, and achieve unparalleled success. Our expert coaches will guide you through personalized techniques, enhancing concentration, resilience, and confidence. Picture yourself outperforming your rivals, making split-second decisions with clarity, and achieving victory like never before. Join us today and elevate your game to new heights. Peak Mental Performance Program, where champions are forged in the mind. Email me today, Shawn.French@thedeterminedsociety.com for more information. See you inside.